Thursday, the Supreme Court dealt a major setback to the Biden administration's ambitious climate agenda, limiting some of the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to broadly regulate carbon pollution under the Clean Air Act. While the court decision was narrower than some had feared, leaving intact the power of the EPA to regulate greenhouse gas emissions from individual power plants, climate activists are already shifting their focus and turning to businesses and states to help combat climate change. This decision is a really big deal, and I'm joined by Jamie Margolin, who is the founder of the youth-led climate activist group Zero Hour. And Jamie, you tweeted that the Supreme Court is a deadly threat to our Earth and all life on it. How are you feeling after Thursday's ruling?
Well, I agree with what Congresswoman AOC and many others have said, which is that this is a judicial coup at this point. The judicial branch is absolutely overreaching in their power and completely overturning what the majority of people want, what is good for the people, what is the will of the people, with the decisions against Roe v. Wade, with all of these decisions against what goes against basic common sense, safety, and majority decisions. And they're just overturning, taking away basic rights and progress to the point where it's like, this is a clear descent into fascism if we don't take serious action. And I don't say that lightly. I study fascism a lot. I grew up, my grandpa was a World War II veteran. On my dad's side, we're Jewish. And I grew up just, learning a lot about Nazi Germany and other fascist regimes and things like that because of how the people in my family had lived through and seen and studied history so well. And the important thing is to always remember it can happen here. Everyone is like, oh, but never us, never us, the United States. And we're already seeing this fundamentalist, essentially, coup, taking away the basic rights to control over our own bodies, bodily autonomy, healthcare. This pro-life Supreme Court is killing people. People are going to die because of these decisions, not just because of the Roe v. Wade overturning, but because of their ruling against gun control, because of their ruling against, who rules against something called the Clean Air Act? That's going to kill people. Millions of people die of air pollution and other sorts of toxins and pollutants and diseases caused by them. So these pro-life people have blood on their hands.
It's a really good point about who's against the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. But one of the things I've been thinking a lot about as well is even how we frame this decision, right? There were plenty of headlines that sort of were like a loss for the Biden administration or a loss for climate activists or AOC is a big loser. But I keep thinking about the fact that, protecting the planet is about the health of the earth. Air. Yeah, it's not about politics. So speak to this idea that your generation is looking beyond, the partisan spectrum or a partisan debate about climate when at the end of the day, it's about the science and protecting the planet.
Absolutely. This is absolutely ridiculous when these people who also breathe air and drink water, and I'm assuming that they also do not want that air and water to be contaminated, to poison them, to cause them diseases, to kill them. And so these people are like, big loss for the activists. Ooh, AOC must be hurting right now. And yeah, so is everyone who breathes air. If you breathe air, then I suggest you be concerned. Do you drink water? Do you eat food? This affects the worsening of the climate crisis, impacts farming, it impacts resources. Do we see how prices for everything have been going up, inflation and all these things? That's only going to get worse and worse as resources become more and more scarce. Violence only goes up as resources become more and more scarce. And the combination of this with this fascist fundamentalist fear mongering is very, very dangerous because dictatorships, fascist leaders, autocrats, all of these people take power when things are unstable, when the people are panicking and they're like, I will be your savior. And a lot of that comes with resource depletion, which causes more violence, which causes more economic insecurity. People are more desperate. People are afraid. People are willing to give up any freedom just to be safe. And that is so, I've been watching this unfold, and we can't stop the climate crisis if we're living under fascism and have no control over what our leaders do. So honestly, the biggest thing that we can do to combat the climate crisis is stop this fascist takeover. like, oh, recycling and turning off the okay, yeah, sure. But
Right.
at this point, the actual cause of this are these politicians, these corporations working hand in hand to destroy life on Earth for everyone. And we have to stop that fascist takeover and understand that all of these rulings, all of these taking away of rights for all of these different marginalized groups, as a gay woman in America, I'm scared. As a woman in America, I'm scared. There's just so many things that affect people in so many intersecting ways. And so all of these rulings, all of these rights being taken away, it's all connected. And the people who, the same violence against women is the violence and extraction against the planet. So all of these fights are intertwined.
It's a really important point. It is all connected. What we need is the ability to affect change. Otherwise, you don't have democracy. Jamie Margolin, thank you so much for being here. It was great to have you again.